My top 10 Taylor Swift songs is no casual affair. Let me just adjust this real quick. Yeah, there we go. Let's get started. What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for my top 10 favorite Taylor Swift songs. It's my first top 10 of the year, and just to let you know, we're going to be on a 4-week rotating basis on the main channel here with some of my main series, so you can expect a little bit more of accountability on my part, and you know when stuff is actually coming out. So instead of maybe getting 2 episodes of ranked or top 10 in a month, you will get 1 per month, but we won't take months off like we do many months. I'm going to try and put myself on a schedule this year. It was one of my goals to get a little bit more organized, so you can expect on Mondays you will be seeing a top 10 countdown, then an episode of Dear John, or also a special video, then we will have a ranked episode, and then we will have another episode of Dear John, or else a special video. It's on a 4-week rotating schedule, like I said, and they will start with this top 10. Taylor Swift can be a bit of a dividing factor among my fan base. I know a lot of people do not like her music whatsoever. Maybe you only like her early stuff, or you just saw her as mainstream or country or pop or whatever, and you just didn't give her the time of day. But today, I'm going to be highly recommending these 10 songs to you. I will also put some honorable mentions in the description down below, but this top 10 I put together here today, it does feature some of her absolute best gems in my opinion, my personal favorite songs from her, and ones that I think could be a good starting point, maybe perhaps if you couldn't get into her in the past. Let me know your favorite Taylor Swift songs in the comments section down below. Keep in mind this is all my personal opinion, and that is all this list is based on. Please drop a like on the video while you're here, and other than that, here is my number 10 pick.
You're thinking that I hate you now, cause you still don't know what I never said. I wish you would come back, wish I never hung up the phone like I did. I wish you knew that I never forget you as long as I live. I wish you were right here, right now, it's all good, I wish you were.
I'm just gonna come right out and say it. 1989 is a fantastic, well-oiled pop machine that cranked out the monster hits, even in the deep cuts, and I Wish You Would is absolutely one of those. It kind of feels like a time machine back to the 1980s, the synth pop, the vibe, the way that the material here just doesn't feel like it has a certain date or time period on it, and that's why I feel like 1989 was such a great record through and through. I Wish You Would is so catchy, the guitars building up to the chorus, and the way that it is so much fun to sing along with each time, the synths glow and shine. It's just one of those tunes that does feel very, very poppy, but it also feels maybe slightly like a little bit of alternative pop, and that was something that I didn't expect from Taylor Swift, and I think that's why this song has stuck with me for so long.
And I feel perfectly fine, but I'm in screaming and fighting and kissing in the rain, and it's 2 a.m. and I'm cursing your name. I'm so in love that you're acting the same, and that's the way I loved you.
The vocal key changes in my number 9 pick throughout the song are incredible. I love the shifts in this song and the way that she's just able to hit the crescendos, the high points, and it really is just one of the highlights of her earlier country days. This track is obviously from Fearless, and it's something that in recent months and years has become an absolute standout favorite from that record. The Way I Loved You is about a relationship and turmoil once again, and that's something that a lot of her critics will peg her automatically as just being a songwriter that takes relationship scenarios and then writes about them, or maybe even perhaps gets into relationships just so that she can have these experiences to write about. I, however, especially in the earlier days, I didn't see it that way, and I think at this point in her career, she still was a little bit more wide-eyed and innocent, if you will, but still, regardless of how you see it, this track is pretty much undeniable. It has a soaring hook on it, the guitars really come to life, that country vibe of the song doesn't necessarily weigh so heavily that non-country fans won't be able to get into it. In fact, I think it's kind of a fan favorite, at least in terms of like some of the deeper cuts, the ones that weren't super popular, but maybe that's just me. It's a great track, and I highly suggest you give it the time of day. Now, if you're looking for something super underrated, look no further than our number 8 pick, Haunted. This is from Speak Now that came out in 2010, and this is such an excellent choice here because it has symphonic elements to it, it has a little bit of a building suspenseful edge to it, and it sees Taylor really unleashing. Something's made your eyes go cold, she says before that chorus just really leaps and takes off in such a big way. Something like this does go overlooked, I feel like. It's always been one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs, and it obviously easily made the top 10. Dear John, you can really feel the searing heat on this one. It's a scorcher in the sense that it's a slow burn. Hey, I see what I did there. Dear John laments the agony of a relationship that fell apart because maybe somebody who was older in the relationship, aka John Mayer, Dear John. And hey, wait a minute, that's the name of one of my series on this channel. Where did I get that name? That and a younger, wide-eyed, innocent girl, and maybe her innocence was stripped away. I think it's a bit over-dramatized, possibly, but at the same time, I'm not gonna sit here and debate the details of the track. It's something that is such a well-written tune. The Speak Now, in general, it was all written by Taylor Swift because critics saying like, hey, she can't write, she can't do things. She wrote the entire album by herself, and that is so admirable. And a track like this that goes for 6 minutes and it just has that scorching guitar that isn't so much loud as it is persistent as it lingers throughout the track, and you hear that in the background, and Taylor's vocals really get a chance to shine as she tells her story. Number 6, I Know Places from 1989. This is the 12th track on the standard edition of the record, and it's one that instantly gripped me because I love the writing style here and the collaboration between herself and Ryan Tedder. This is one that did feel like kind of a big sweeping piano melody, and also one of those choruses that just knocks you off your feet because it's so unlike Taylor Swift in a way, and it was very different coming off of Red and Speak Now, everything like that. It was more of a bombastic, theatric tune, and I love the comparison here between Animals and the way that she runs races, trying to get away from maybe the public spotlight and eye, a lot of attention and heat on her, but she's saying, you know, we'll be the people that are running away from the hunters that are trying to chase us down. The allegories and the rhythms of this track are perfection, and if you've never given this one a ton of listens, just because it is one of the songs that didn't get that much publication in terms of like people talking and raving about it, this one has always been a favorite for me. It's top-notch quality, and you've really got to hear it in full. Burn, Burn, Baby, Burn. Number 5, Picture to Burn off of Taylor Swift's self-titled debut. It's hard to believe that it's been over a decade, well over a decade, I guess, at this point, since her debut album dropped. And I got into this record because of Teardrops on My Guitar, but it's tracks like this that kept me coming back for years to come. Obviously, still loving it at this point. That is saying something. Now, I'll be the first to admit that there were plenty of cheesy moments on her self-titled album. It was something that was very much country, a little bit of pop in there as well, but not enough to say, hey, this is a country pop effort. This is something where she put the country foot forward first. And this is an album in general that I can't say that I'm super into at this point. I'll occasionally come back to it, but tracks like this obviously get ingrained in your memory because of that big, sexy hook. This is something that you can sing along with for days. Maybe you remember earlier times in your life, simpler memories, and maybe it's not the smartest song out there, but it's a nice relationship, revenge type track, a nice little combo there, and I'm still listening to it in 2018. On 1989, producer Jack Antonoff and Taylor Swift cooked up some absolute fire, and I have to say, this is the best of the batch there. This is a track that reminds you of Taylor Swift's songwriting of earlier days, but at the same time, it has that new synth-pop grinding sound, the way that it has those churning synthesizers, and just the catchy urgency in the vocal melodies as well, especially during the bridge of this track. Remember when we hit the brakes too soon and that whole story. And this track is obviously, apparently, about Harry Styles, their short-lived relationship and everything that happened there. And the way that this track unfolds, it does give the listener that sense of urgency, the sense of now, and the sense of why I should care about this. And you do get invested in a song like this, and even though it was a single, it barely charted really on the Hot 100 outside of like a high debut, and then it got the music video, and it didn't get a ton of attention, at least compared to some of her other works, and that's a damn shame.
So this is me swallowing my pride, standing in front of you, saying I'm sorry for that night. And I go back to December all the time.
I notice a trend among my upcoming top 3, starting with Back to December off of Speak Now. Another song written about a relationship, this one about Taylor Lautner and their short-lived relationship, and the time and the falling out afterwards, and all of the memories that flood in when you think about someone. This song does have a big roar to it, a fire that is stoked by not knowing, and the awkwardness that you feel when you interact with someone again. The vocals, the lingering guitar, and the mystique that the track has overall, it's a really, really nice combo here, and the drums leading up to the chorus, that little fill there. Even the bass on this track is something that I have to compliment, and even one of my honorable mentions on this album in general, Enchanted. Come on, that bass line. Back to December is so great because you can feel both parties here, and you can feel the awkwardness and tension between both of them because you know what the other person in the relationship, now that you're awkwardly put in this place where you're both together all of a sudden, you know what each is feeling, but you don't know what to say out loud, at least. So you're both put in this spot where you're both just kind of like, hey, small talk, I don't know really what to say here, I don't know what to say to you, and then you start having this flood of memories that comes in, and you're like, I didn't accept your apology, maybe there were all these other things that should have happened that didn't, but you can't really voice those things out loud, so they remain thoughts.
I'm not a princess, this ain't a fairy tale. I'm not the one you'll sweep off her feet, lead her up the stairwell.
The somber guitar, the weeping strings, everything about this track cries drama but hurt at the same time. It's not so melodramatic and unbelievable that it feels out of touch with reality. In fact, it's quite the opposite. This track feels very, very real. And it's a monumental step in, I think, Taylor's career, her songwriting, her style, because it was a refinement. It wasn't an overtly country song by any means. You could say that the acoustic guitar had a little bit of a Western lean to it, but this song was a progression for her in her career, and this is one that I always saw as one of the best stepping stones and one of the best Taylor Swift songs, period. The allusions to princes and fairy tales and dreams and things that fell apart, they're all here, and I love the way that this story is told because she knows that things aren't what maybe she thought they were going to be. She's growing up a bit here, and she realizes that she's never going to have this fantasy of a prince coming in, sweeping her off of her feet, and then just driving off into the sunset. She is in a different place now, and she realizes that that mentality is going to really get her nowhere. It's not going to get her anything except hurt. And I think that this track is a realization and a nice step in her maturity. At the top of the mountain, at the peak, at number 1, we have the ballad of all ballads, All Too Well. I remember it all too well, Taylor cries on this track off of 2012's album Red. This is a moment that I think has gripped me more and more over time because it has that kind of slow throttle effect, like sometimes you just don't know if you've fully taken off with your love for the track, but now, at this point, I absolutely do feel that. The songwriting is here, the instrumentation, the power, the poise, it is all here, and you feel what is unfolding before our eyes. The way that her unwavering vocal performance just really hits you and sells you on the track in general. it's truly mesmerizing. The gory, specific details of a relationship that crumbled is remembered all too well by Swift on this tune, and it's something that is longer, but it never wears out its welcome. In fact, it always has something to say. Even as the choruses roll around, I feel like a lot of them have more of a sense of impact because you actually have more of the story and you're understanding why she's saying what she's saying. And as you dive into this song more and more, you just really have to appreciate because everything all around, it's well produced, it's extremely well written, and the way that the layers of instrumentation hit you, it's super, super powerful, and it will just kind of knock your breath away sometimes, especially if you're just really in the zone listening to this song. It can do that. Don't forget to check out my honorable mentions, guys. They're in the description. This was my personal top 10. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, let me know your favorite Taylor Swift songs in the comment section along with what you thought of my list here today. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. And if you are able to, support me on Patreon. It's that top link in the description down below. It seriously does help videos like this keep coming on a monthly basis. If you want that direct link to my Patreon, it's right here in this annotation in the corner of the screen. If you want to see another Taylor Swift themed video, you can tap right over here, or another recent top 10 right over here. All of my socials can be found in the description, and I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.